All right, welcome everyone. Let me first just open the April 3rd Board of Assessors meeting at 12:37 p.m. Get that out of there. April 4th, what did I say? April 4th, 12:34 p.m. Welcome, everyone. I first want to congratulate you. This is the biggest Board of Assessors meeting we've ever had, maybe in the history of Hingham. I think there's going to be close to 23 people here. My name is Joshua Ross. I am a member of the Board of Assessors. I will introduce my fellow members in a second, but thank you so much to the Senior Center and Jennifer Young and the staff for hosting us today. We are thrilled to be here. We will be going over a few specific items about tax exemptions and circuit breakers, and then we will take any questions at the end. As Jennifer said, this is being recorded and this is a public meeting. So I just ask that if you do have a question that you just state your name, that's it, and don't disclose any personal information. If you have a specific question about your situation, please see us afterwards. We just don't want any personal information out there. So with that being said, we will get started. Like I said, I'm Joshua Ross. We have Chrissy Roberts, who is the chair of the Board of Assessors. We also have Al Chambers.
Hello, everyone.
Who is also, we are the three elected members of the Board of Assessors. We also have an Office of Assessors, and we have five wonderful people who work there. Erin Walsh, who's the Director of Assessing, and Jackie Berard, who's the Assistant Assessor, who are both happen to be on training today. They do a ton of training for the town so that everything works correctly in the office. Carrie Coughlin, and we have Cyril Donlin here, who is official title is assessing technician, but is our exemption expert. So my guess is that she will be answering a lot of your questions at the end of the meeting. And Maureen Carlson. So before we start, I just want to just mention a couple of things. So the role of the assessors, there's three main roles. One is to find the fair market value of property in town. So that's commercial property and residential property. And that's the main purpose of the assessors. We also set the residential versus commercial tax rate in town once a year. So we determine what the ratio is between commercial and residential tax rate right now, and it has been for a while. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. And then we also hear about abatements that anyone has filed. So if you have a disagreement or different of opinion about your assessed property, then you file an abatement, and the elected board hears and we vote on it. The other thing that we've done, that we do, and this is why we're all here today, is that we hear and vote on the senior means test, and I'll get into that in a second. Senior means tested tax exemption. And we have handouts too at the end, so if anyone wants to take home some of that. One of the things that I also want to say before we get into the presentation is that we understand that a lot of the information we collect is very personal and confidential. So when you file an abatement or an exemption, it is only seen by the, at most, 8 people listed on the screen here. And in most cases, it's less than that. So if you file it, it's recorded, it's put together by Erin and Jackie, and then it's presented in executive session at the Board of Assessors meeting between the three of us. So it is seen by very few people, and we take it very seriously that the information provided is extremely confidential. And as we get into the documentation and requirement, you'll see that it is pretty much your most personal information. So I just wanted to stress that as we get going here, that it's we do take it very seriously, and all the information is discussed in executive session, and there's no recording or no public disclosure of anyone's name or anyone's information. So get that out of the way. We're going to talk about two credits and exemptions today. And the reason we're talking about the state one is because you need to be qualified for the state in order to be qualified for Hingham. And so I'll go through that. So the state is the Massachusetts Senior Circuit Breaker Tax Credit, and the Hingham is the Hingham Senior Means Tested Tax Exemption. And I will get into more detail about both of those in a minute. But I do want to throw this out there, is that we are not tax professionals. So anything that is involved in your tax filings or tax recommendations, we strongly urge and recommend that you seek your tax professional when it comes to this, especially the state filing. So all we are doing today is presenting what the requirements are and what our process is. If you have specific questions regarding your tax status, we recommend you seek out the tax professionals. So I just want to get that disclosure out there as well. So the first item we're going to talk about is the Massachusetts Senior Circuit Breaker. So this is a credit on your, it's supposed to be personal tax, income tax. And that's a max this year of $1,170. So this is a credit on your personal income tax, which is going to be different than the Hingham, but I just want to show you that distinction. Here is the eligibility requirements set by the state. That you are a Mass resident or part-year resident, you are 65 or older by January 1st, 2022, that you must file a Massachusetts personal income tax return. So this is important, and this is why we're doing this April 4th, is because in order to qualify, you have to file your taxes by, I believe this year it's moved out to the 18th this year because of a holiday. It's also important to note that even if you do not have income to pay taxes on, you still need to file with the state so that there is a record of it. I just want to throw that out there. You also must own or rent residential property in Massachusetts and occupy it as your primary residence. There's a second page of eligibility is around income requirements. So in 2021, your income for a single non-head of household can't be more than $62,000. If you are a head of household, it is $78,000. And if you are married, filed jointly, it is $93,000. And again, these are all set by the state, and it has nothing to do with Hingham's program. There is also a requirement for homeowners where your property tax and half of your water and sewer bill must be greater than 10% of your total income. And so this is something that I would also talk to your tax professional about. And for renters, it must be 25% of the rent must exceed 10% of your total income. And then if you are a homeowner, the assessed value of your property is less than $884,000. So I know there's a lot of requirements here. And one of the things that we just want to make you aware of, and the biggest thing, is that you must qualify with the state first, like I said, and file your taxes. And I believe, excuse me, it's Form CB on your taxes. Again, talk to your tax professional, but there is a form that you would fill out while filing your taxes to see if you qualified with the state. And so we're just getting this out there so you know. Yes?
I don't mean to interrupt. I have one question. Those income requirements, is that your adjusted gross income? Those rates?
Well, I prepare taxes as a volunteer,
Okay.
So it includes not only adjusted income, but if you have untaxed Social Security income or other SNAP benefits or other, all that.
So it isn't your adjusted gross income?
No, it's AGI plus whatever other income is not being taxed.
Okay, thank you.
Good question, thank you. Any other questions on the Massachusetts Senior Circuit Breaker program? Again, it's separate from the Hingham program, but we just wanted to, make you aware of it and start thinking about it if you want to go ahead with the Hingham program.
I think somebody told me it's line, if you want to look back and see if you qualified last year, if you look on your state income tax, it's line 44, is it?
It is line 44, yes.
So I think that's important
Right,
to look back if they're not sure. if
right, as long as there's an amount there, you're good to go.
Perfect, thank you.
I think there's one other requirement, your property's gotta be less than an acre. If it's more than an acre, then you gotta prorate the land.
Okay, that's good to,
Yeah,
that I don't, again, we took this right off the state website.
It's there.
Okay,
'Cause I do the tax.
perfect, thank you. So again, consult your local tax professional. I don't know if he wants to volunteer, but
I'm happy to.
again, this is for information purposes, so everyone is well aware of the programs out there. All right, we good?
I have one question. On the assessed value
We
of
didn't pay any
property,
tax, and we gave us
how often
additional
is that
money.
assessed? How often is the property assessed?
So, it's a tricky question. By law, we assess each property at least once every 10 years. It usually happens more than that. We are actually in a reval year, so by state law, we have to reevaluate the town's property. And so we just hired a consultant who is going to go around and reevaluate 50% of the residential properties and 100% of the commercial properties. And so this involves going out and doing drive-bys of neighborhoods, making sure that our classifications are correct. And so that would impact assessments either up or down. And they do change. They do change with the reval. So
Okay, the next question now, how would the owner be aware that someone has assessed their property? How, are they notified or not notified?
So you would be notified if you look at your tax bill every year, and that would change. Unless you file an abatement, an official form that you say you do not agree with the assessed value, and then we would go through the process of the abatement.
Okay, so the CPA person would have that information on hand. If I wanted to know what my property was assessed at, she would have that information.
Well, you could also go into the Board of Assessors office, and they could get that information for you. Yeah.
For you, that will tell you that. You can also go online on our website, and it will take you, and you can see what the assessed value is. But we're more than happy, anybody who wants to call in, I can email it, come in directly, whichever way you'd like to do it. We're more than happy to provide that for you.
And excellent question, because as a side note, I highly recommend you look at what your assessed value is. And just be aware of it every year. It's just, again, it's part of your personal property, it's part of your financial picture. I am not a financial professional, but it's just it's a good idea just to check it and see what it is and go from there. Thank you.
So if you qualify for this, all these, that doesn't affect your tax bill? It just qualifies you for the Hingham?
Yes.
Okay.
But it would give you an $1,170 personal tax. Yes. Yep.
I just want to make sure if it affected your tax bill at all.
No, it does not.
Just qualifies you for
Yeah.
the Hingham. Okay, thank you.
And then and there is a couple other things you need to qualify for Hingham, but we'll get into that in a second. Okay. So again, state program, separate from Hingham, but you need to qualify in order to move on to the next steps. All right, everyone good? Good. So the Hingham Senior Means Tested Tax Exemption. And so this is what we're responsible for. And this started last year as a way to ease some of the tax burden on the folks in town who need it the most. As I stated in the beginning, the Board of Assessors has nothing to do with tax rate, has nothing to do with overrides, has nothing to do with budget, has nothing to do with earning the town revenue. What we are responsible for is creating some programs that can alleviate some of those tax burdens for you, and this is what this is. The first and probably biggest difference between the state and Hingham is that this is for your personal property, so renters do not qualify. So if you are a renter somewhere, you don't pay property tax, so this wouldn't qualify you. That's the biggest thing. We match the state's senior circuit breaker of up to $1,170 on your personal property tax bill. I will also say that the way the process works is that the Board of Assessors takes into account the total number of people who apply, and it's a pool. That number is presented to the Select Board as a pool of an amount, and then they will vote to grant 100% or some percentage of that total amount per applicant. So it is up to $1,170. It is all dependent on how many people apply. I will say last year we approved 100% of everyone who was approved. So everyone got the maximum credit, and I believe last year was $1,150? $50. So went up $20 this year. So I just want to throw that out there as well. It's even though the Board of Assessors would approve it, it still has to go to a final approval by the Select Board, and they kind of approve the whole amount, and it's a percentage. So, so for Hingham's, you must be a Hingham resident for 10 years. I don't believe it needs to be continuous in the same house. It's just Hingham resident, 10 years. And applicants must not have excessive assets that place them outside of the intended recipients of the senior exemption. Yes, this is very gray and not specific. So it's really meant to make sure that the people who need it the most get the help they need. And that's the simplest way I can put it. We would recommend that you file or talk to the office if you have any questions about this specific qualification. And again, this is one of the things we talk about in executive session that's closed to everyone when we review this and look at it as a whole application. So I know it's a little bit of a gray area, not that specific, but it's meant to be so that it meets the needs of people who need it the most. So I'll leave that at that. So again, what do you do if you think you qualify or want to apply? So here is a list of documents that are required, and we actually have some applications that you guys can take home with you, so you can start the process. And again, I just want to reiterate, this is all confidential. I know there's a lot of stuff out there. We keep the information for one levy year. Yes.
Sorry, for this one, it's 65 years old too?
Yes, because you have to. Qualify for it. So it's everything that.
Right, okay.
I just didn't want to repeat all the information again. Yeah. So you need proof of age, so the Mass driver's license or birth certificate, a copy of your 2021 federal income tax return, a copy of your 2021 Mass state income tax return, a copy of your 2021 Mass state income schedule CB, which I believe that's the form that you submit when you qualify for the state's program, right? Okay. Trust documentation if applicable, and again, If you have any questions about whether or not your property is in a trust, I highly recommend you just reach out to the Board of Assessors office, and they can walk through what those are.
Yeah. If your property is in a revocable trust, you do not qualify.
Yes. And it's also, if it's in a trust and you are the trustee, you do qualify, but if you're not the trustee, you don't. So again, I don't want to confuse, but if your property's in a trust, I suggest you just make a phone call, go in and talk, and we can sort through it.
Question, Matt.
Yes.
What's the date for filing an application?
September 1st.
You have to do that every year?
Yes. Yep.
And the documentation needs to be provided every year as well. So,
Right.
except for the trust, but everything else needs to come into us every year.
If you've qualified for 1 year, didn't you just send out?
I did.
Yeah,
So anybody who qualified and received it last year, I sent out the applications on Friday. Anybody that called into the office to request them, they went out on Friday as well, so.
Question, what if the property has a reverse mortgage? How does that factor into this?
It doesn't affect it as far as
Okay.
your eligibility.
Okay, thank you.
Mortgage or reverse mortgage, those are the people that would really benefit from this.
It comes down to ownership
Yeah.
of the house. And then verification of assets, so you would need to provide all account statements and assessed values of other real estate. And then a completed signed application. And again, we have some here for you guys to take home with you. So, like we said, deadline to apply is September 1st, 2022. So this gives you some time. So if you file your taxes, it gives you some time to get the other information together. You must apply every year, like we said. And if your house is in a trust, you must be the trustee. Looks like we hit on all those questions already. So that's sort of the basics of what these two programs are. We wanted to get out in front of you guys to make you aware, especially with a deadline coming up with the state. You have a little bit longer with Hingham. So there are other programs that the town offers to help reduce your tax burden, property tax. The deadline for that has passed, so I don't want to really get into it now, but I will say that we will be holding another one of these in the fall and probably late fall, early winter to talk about those so that you can have enough information to meet the deadline for that. I just want to make you aware of it, and you can find information at the Board of Assessors office or on the website. But we do just want to make sure you're aware there are other programs besides this one that you may qualify for. So we will talk about those in another presentation that doesn't have anything to do with the stuff we talked about today. So with that being said, does anyone have any other questions? Yes.
So for the senior means tested, is there any work requirement?
For the Hingham,
Yeah, Hingham tax exemption.
it's all on the application.
Yeah, there's no work requirement
Okay.
or,
Oh, I'm sorry. You mean like you have to physically work?
Yeah, because I know you have some work.
the tax work-offs? No, that's not a requirement for this one.
Yeah.
But if you do that, tax work-off, does that have any effect on qualifying for this?
I don't know as far as your taxes, what that does to it. I know it does reduce your tax payment to us, to the town of Hingham. But that would be through the preparer would be better.
I believe this program is a standalone program so that you can still qualify for another program.
That's what I was wondering.
Yes.
Right.
Whereas if there is a list of 5 or 6 other programs in Hingham that you really only qualify for, I believe, one. So you if you qualify for a couple of the other tax programs, you can only do one of those, whereas This one is totally separate, and you can qualify for this one and another one.
So do you issue something like a W-2 or a 1099, or is this just a tax reduction on your real estate?
It's just a reduction on your real estate tax
There
bill.
is no 1099 or?
No.
Because you-
For this program,
For other
no.
ones that do issue a 1099.
Correct.
Right, so separately from this, is there a deadline to apply if you think your house has been overly, like,
Yeah, so to file an abatement has passed. It is
February 1st.
February 1st
okay, of every year?
of every year. And tax bills typically go out December 31st-ish every year. So it gives you 30 days, and that's, I believe, a state law, that you have 30 days to file an abatement. But again, you can see what your assessment is now, right? So
Thank you. What's a tax work-off? I didn't know what that term was. Work-off?
So it's a tax work-off. It's offered by the town of Hingham. Senior citizens can come in and work in different departments in the building and earn money that reduces, it goes off your taxes.
Okay. How do you apply for that?
You can actually check with Mary here at the senior center, and she can help you sign up for that and get that together for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
yes, sir.
Is there a maximum work-off amount?
Yes.
I believe it's $1,500 is the maximum.
And do we know what the rate is? I don't remember what the rate is.
$12.50.
I think it's gone up. I think it's gone up, but I would definitely check with Mary here in the senior center. She has all that information, and she can take the applications as well.
And I believe it's a wide variety of town departments that you can choose to work for. If you want to work outside, you can help the DPW do some flowering stuff. If you want to work in the schools, there's pretty much any department you want.
And you get paid for it at the same time? Or?
So no, it's just a credit on your taxes. They take your, again, I don't know the whole, yes.
Your hours are factored in, and it gets taken off the taxes.
There is a program also out there for a tax deferral program where you can defer your taxes while you live in your house at a 1% rate, and then when the house is sold, it's a lien on the house, and then the town is paid back before. So again, it's another program I don't.
That's 100%, right, of your taxes?
It can be up to
You can
100%.
defer up to 100% of your taxes with the tax deferral program. I remember when I started on the board, being told that not enough people, take advantage of the deferral. More people look at the exemptions, but the deferral program is fantastic too. And the office can help with that.
Yes.
Could this information be sent out in the light bill?
It will be, yep,
And the one in the fall, could you send out a list of those?
absolutely.
Yes.
Because that's the best way to get it,
Yeah.
everybody.
That's the plan.
Okay.
You're hired.
We were waiting till today to see what other Q&A we should put in there, and you'll see it in your bill soon, yeah.
Yeah, everybody looks to the light bill for anything that will come from the town too. So I think that's the best place to contact those seniors.
Right, and our goal is to reach, as many people who qualify as possible.
So spread the word.
Yes.
I think that deferral program is wonderful. I didn't know we had it. I just recently heard that Weymouth had it.
Yeah.
And that was going to be one of my questions is to, would we put, but we do have
We
it.
do have it, and again, our goal is to get all these programs out to the public to make sure everyone is aware of.
That's great.
Yeah.
What about those people who don't get the paper bill? How do you inform those?
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask HMLP.
Do they still, I thought everyone still gets a paper bill, because they don't? Okay, you can,
Do you get an email that tells you there's a bill available?
Might
Yeah.
just be on, looking at your bill online, it might be in there.
Scan it along with your bill. But
Yeah, we can ask them
I'll write that down.
what they do about, okay.
Okay, I just want to get a clarification. I receive a paper bill. Now, on the paper bill, would I receive further information that is, relevant to what you're talking about?
It'll be the same information you got today, it's just another way for us to reach people.
It will be an insert. It will be another piece of paper inside your bill, like they do every once in a while, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have that on hand.
Yes.
And it won't be the application itself. You can, we have, I can start handing those out soon. All the information plus the application we have today. So in your bill won't be the application, but it'll be the, the basic highlights of the information of who qualifies.
Basically, everything that was in the slide will be in the handout. Yes?
So, and can I understand that the tax deferral information, which really was brand new to me as far as information, would be also included in the electric light bill?
We will be including information in that in the fall, before the deadline is due to apply for it.
Okay, I see.
Because we're already past all the deadlines for this year.
But if we had questions on the tax deferral, we could come to the office.
Yes, absolutely. Any questions you have about anything regarding your tax bill or your assessment, please do not hesitate to reach out to anyone in the Board of Assessors office. Anyone else? Good, really? So we do ask that, and like we said, that if you know friends, family, who even might qualify for this, and again, not everyone knows everyone's situation, just this will be available on Harbor Media as well, I believe, on their YouTube channel, so there will be a video of it. Just forward it to people you think might qualify for this. They can decide whether or not they do, but again, we just want to try to reach as many people as possible so that everyone who does qualify gets this program, takes advantage of the program. Yes.
I guess I have an individual question. Last year I filled out all the stuff, turned it all in. I had not made copies of it, so I never got any of it back. I went to my accountant a couple weeks ago. I told him what I had done. He said, "You don't have your 2020 tax statement anymore." I said, "No, because I gave it to the town." So you just throw that stuff out, or you don't give it back? The only thing I got back was a copy of my birth certificate.
Normally, if you want a copy
I
back.
can't make copies,
Okay.
so.
That's fine. Normally, if you came into the office and said,
Well, I didn't, I brought it, because I hadn't been in the
Right.
building and you couldn't come in, so I don't know who I gave.
right, if you would even just, in the future, just write us a note that you want me to send it back to you, and I'm happy to do that.
Okay, because with all the originals, and he
Yes.
said,
Oh, okay.
oh, he said, you shouldn't have done that.
I understand. We may still have it. So if you.
Yeah, well, he made me another
Oh,
copy.
perfect, excellent. But no, we don't want any originals. Like, we're happy to make you copies and give them back to you. It's just easier.
Well, I think it's when everything wasn't
Oh,
open,
I
and I was able to
Right.
come to the front door and hand it to somebody.
Exactly.
Said, we'll take it.
Okay. So, like I said, if you anybody who drops them off and wants a copy, I'm happy to make copies and return them to you. If you come into the office, again, happy to make copies and hand them back to you. We don't want your originals. That's your own, like you said, your tax preparer was probably like, So feel free in the future. We're happy to do that for you.
Great.
I have a question.
Yes.
I was always under the assumption that a lien on a house was not a good thing.
So again, talk to your tax professional. I believe that's what they call it, because you're deferring, so,
Yeah.
right? Again, it's just one program that's offered,
Okay.
so I would. Anyone else? Yes.
Is there any difference between homeowners and condo owners?
No.
By
If you own the condo, you are a property owner.
Okay.
Anything else? Well, I'm going to take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Hi.
Well, thank you all, but it was really just Al. Thank you all for coming.